Okay, citizens of the Grateful Nation, thank you again for tuning in. It's been a while since our last show, but we're happy to hear you. Listen, before we do, a couple of bills to be paid. Guys, go to heavensharvest.com and use our code GREAT for 10% off of anything. It's a survival food company. They've got water filtration projects. They have water filtration products that we are anxiously waiting on getting our hands on so we can tell you how good they are. We know how good they are. We had Clayton Llewellyn, who is the CEO, was on episode 89. You can go back and listen to that episode. Again, heavensharvest.com. Use the code GREAT for 10% off. And listen, all these things, this is why I can't concentrate. But we have a new partnership, and that's NeuroGum. Let me tell you a little bit about NeuroGum. For someone like me who's constantly getting notifications, and it's being super overwhelming lately, and I feel like I can't get anything done. I'm always reacting to things. I never take anything in. But listen, this gum and this mint here, it energizes you, it can give you calm, and it can give you focus whenever you need it. And it was actually developed by former athletes training at the highest level who didn't want to take mysterious supplements or energy drinks when studying, training, or going out. Instead of something sugary and ineffective, they wanted to create clean, balanced energy that could be taken anywhere, anytime. And what I've got right here, check it out. I've got it right here. This is their energy and focus formula, and it's a mint or it's gum. It's specifically formulated with natural caffeine, L-theanine, and B vitamins to sustain the mental endurance necessary to maintain your focus. And guess what? You guys get 20% off if you go to tryneurogum.com/doinggreat. The link is right down there in the description and in the comments. So guys, new sponsor, NeuroGum. And now I've got Gina here.
Hello.
Hi, Gina. How
Hello.
are you doing?
Good.
It's been a while. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Having fun.
You enjoying?
Cheers.
Are those sunglasses your new thing?
Mm-hmm. You're like, I immediately hate them.
People like them?
People do.
Yeah.
I like wearing them.
Yeah.
Yeah. You could see through them. So that's what Cliff said. They said, as long as we can see your eyes, it's fine.
Right.
If you had like blue blockers on, that'd be a little rude, I think.
Why are blue blockers rude?
Well, they just shield your eyes. So
blue blockers you can see. I wear blue blockers all the time. Yeah, they just look like regular glasses.
When I mean blue blockers, I mean like the old people glasses. When they're driving, like
actual sunglasses.
Yeah, I think they call those blue blockers. I can't remember. So yeah, why don't we talk about? We can just start off because we're going to talk about just a couple of things, and then we're going to answer some questions. We actually have some good questions.
Oh, we do.
Yeah, we have some good questions here, but let's talk about to these guys the middle camera, the future of the show. Because a lot of people have been asking me, and this is sadly, it's going to be our last show. I'm just kidding. No, it's not.
I was like, is it?
No, it's not going to be our last show. But just people have been asking me all the time, what's going on with Gina? And I was like, I'd rather not speak for her. So just what's been going on in your life. And I've told people that you're taking a step back because, you want to devote more time to being a mom and health and fitness. So just tell people real quick about, that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm just going to be doing less, just a little bit less content. That's all. I mean, Mike, it's always been Mike's show anyway. So I think Mike's just going to take over for the most part. Yeah.
I don't think it's always been my show. I think I've acted as if it's always been my show.
I think it's always been yours.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know that we want to get, this is not to also defame anybody or talk less about anybody. I know that we want to get you in for like the big shows with the big guests.
Yeah. I mean, do we have anyone big coming up?
Well, Jimmy Dore, I'm going to LA.
You're going there for that.
LA
right.
For that. Big coming up. Well, Owen Benjamin, that would be nice if you wanted to talk to Owen Benjamin.
Yeah.
He's talked about coming on.
I mean, I don't know much. I always hear his name. Everyone says in the comment section we should have him on, but I don't know who he is.
Day one.
I don't know much about him.
Yeah.
I've only seen his clips of like him comparing Dave Chappelle's jokes to his.
Right.
And how like people steal his jokes.
Yes.
And I see him like he lives in Idaho.
Homesteading. Yeah. Doing all that.
Yeah. And I saw him posting today a lot about how the West should not be going in and trying to remove Sharia law and things like that because then they just turn into whores.
Right. Okay.
So that's all I know about
Owen about that.
I think it's a good thing to talk about. Yeah.
Possibly Lauren Chen in the near future. That'd be good.
She's good
for the first time.
She's local.
Yeah, she's local.
Yeah.
And then I actually got an email back from Mark Wahlberg's manager. Because I have IMDb Pro.
Right.
So I just email whoever I want. Because I don't care. If you ever want to get a guest, you got to email him. So I said, would love to have Mark Wahlberg on the show. We're a quaint little podcast, but we would love to talk to him about his faith. And she was super nice. She got back to me an hour later and said, Mark is really only doing podcasts with friends or family and nothing too much about his faith unless he has a movie coming up, then he'll do the
Right.
rounds. And I said, that's fine, no problem. And I said, would it help if I told you I was his fourth cousin? And I didn't get a response back.
Oh.
So, well, I'm not.
She
probably
she doesn't know that.
No, I know. Well, by that no response, I don't think that's going to happen. It's not going to work. But
that was a funny response, though.
I emailed Mel Gibson.
Okay.
Not him personally, but
yeah, his people.
Another management. Yeah. Just because I watched The Passion for Easter.
Mm-hmm.
Rough. I just want to talk to him because he's coming out with another one.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, The Resurrection.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's how it ends. It ends with him walking out of the tomb.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's talk a little bit about Easter because Easter for you is next Sunday.
Yeah, Pascha's this coming up Sunday.
Right.
Yeah, so it was Palm Sunday for us this past weekend.
That's right. Palm Sunday is one of the longer. How long was it for you guys?
It was an hour 45-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About the same. It's a long one. It's a
yeah.
doozy.
Yeah, it's a long one. But our Pascha one is, I don't know if we'll be able to go because it's from 10 to like 2.
Really?
Yeah, it starts at 10. And I mean, they usually stay until like 4.
Oh, okay.
So they'll like, I think liturgy actually ends at 1 or 1:30, but then they'll stay. But it's just tough because we definitely can't bring my daughter because she's not at an age where she could like, she can't even like sit in a playpen and sleep.
Right.
She would go nuts.
Oh, yeah.
And then like, I don't know if it's like, it's weird if like one of us go, one of us stays at home.
Yeah,
so
I always
that's
feel
a tough
incomplete. I don't feel whole when I go to church.
It's
by
tough.
myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. I went to we went to Easter Mass and we went to the 8 o'clock. There was 8, 8:30, 10, 10:30. And parking lot's packed. Like they actually have like parking attendants with cones and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm saying to myself, I used the line that Dwight Schrute uses. Oh, the world needs another plague. Remember that one?
Yeah.
So I said that and then I felt bad after it. But I made an Instagram post about this and I was just saying, why is it like this on Christmas and Easter that, these are the two biggest church attended masses of the year for obvious reasons. But like, what compels people to not go the rest of the year and only these two times during the year? And I started to get very judgmental about it. And then I started to feel bad about it. But people were DMing me because I posted about it. They said, listen, we're called to judge. We judge humans' actions. If you blindly judge, that's bad. You never want to just blindly judge someone. You judge someone based on his or her actions, and you can't judge someone hypocritically, right? That doesn't make any sense. So I got home and I started to think, well, what if I was maybe someone who had gone to maybe my first Christmas or Easter Mass. I don't go throughout the rest of the year, but that was my first Mass. Like that was my introduction to going to church or wanting to become a Catholic. And I sat there and I started to think, wow, that was super judgmental of you.
Yeah.
I sat and thought about that for a second because Easter's a great Mass. It's celebratory. You have a lot of things to celebrate. See a lot of happy people, but I was turning around, I was like, I don't recognize any of these people. We were sat so far back in the narthex because it was overflowed by so much. We didn't even see some of the people that we normally see there. And I said, well, I wonder if anyone had that impression of me for the first time that I went to church, where they're like, I've never seen that guy before. He probably never comes. So I stopped thinking like that because a lot of people were like, it's good that they're there. It's probably better that they're there once or twice a year than not at all.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's always good. I think we should always pray for people to come and hope that they come.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that we're always told in the Orthodox Church is don't judge. They actually say, don't judge. Don't judge the way that people fast. Don't judge the way that people attend liturgy. Don't judge whether they sit when they should be standing or if they don't bow when they should bow or if they make the sign of the cross wrong. They said, don't judge. And one of the things that I loved hearing when I first started listening to a lot of Orthodox content is be patient, be humble, and be quiet.
Yeah, you
and I think that's a really nice thing. Yeah. So whenever people come to church, I think it's a good thing.
Is that judgment when they say don't judge? Is that within the church as far as people how they practice, or in regards to their own faith, or is that universally applied to don't judge?
I mean, I don't
it's
think
just like in the church.
I don't think it means like you shouldn't judge someone for being a murderer or like aborting their child.
Yeah.
No, but I think it means probably more in a legalistic sense of like, don't judge someone. Like if you think they're not fasting the exact right way, there's just, I think, one of the things I like about the Orthodox Church is they're much less legalistic. about things like that. So
Explain what you mean by legalistic.
well, it's like, adhering to these very strict rules in a way that is not sanctifying just for the sake of adhering to them. So an example would be like, the sects of Christianity where the women are not allowed to wear skirts that are like above the knees and they must wear long sleeves all the time, like things like that, like legalistic things like that. And so an example would be like if you don't follow the fast exactly the right way, or for example, like if you're in the middle of Lent and if you're fasting, but if someone invites you over for dinner and they cook you a meal that has meat or dairy in it, like, you're a guest in their home. That like, it's okay. You're not going to make this big stink and be like, I'm not eating that because I'm fasting. Right. So, I mean, not to say that you should break the fast just because, but things like that.
What was your extent of fasting? Do you guys just do Fridays and Sundays, or what did you do?
Well, for the Lent calendar, you're supposed to abstain from meat, eggs, dairy, fish, olive oil, and wine.
Oh, really?
It's a pretty strict fast.
Throughout the whole calendar?
The whole calendar,
wow, okay.
Right. I'm breastfeeding, so you're not supposed to fast when you're pregnant or breastfeeding.
Right.
My husband, it's fasting's tough when you're first coming into the Orthodox Church, and our priest told him when we met with him, he says, just take it slow. That's one of the things that we hear all the time in the Orthodox Church. Take it slow. Take the fasting slowly. You don't feel like you have to come to every single one of the services, liturgy and matins and vespers. You don't feel like you have to come to everything at once, or like really just take your time. And that's actually the number one piece of advice that Father Josiah Trenum had on this YouTube video. His number one piece of advice for converts was just be patient. He says it should not take any less than a year to convert and to enter the church. So fasting is one of those things that's really hard to jump on. And it's especially hard for my husband because he's very active. He fights every day for multiple hours a day, and he teaches. And so I think going without meat and eggs and dairy and all that is like,
that'd be rough.
It'd be really rough for him. So what we did was, we talked to our father and we talked about abstaining from all of the extra things. Like we haven't had snacks since the beginning of Lent. Our vice is like chips. We love to get the Siete chips.
Yeah.
We love that. We haven't had any dessert. Yesterday was Easter for my parents, so we celebrated with my parents, and I made that, that white chocolate blueberry cake that came out really nice. But other than that, we have been abstaining from, the extras, anything, any like sweets, snacks, things like that, which in the first couple of weeks was harder than I thought it was going to be. But that was sort of our way to ease into it.
Yeah. Matt Fradd did they do it from Holy Thursday to Holy Saturday. They do a 48-hour fast where it's just water and, if anything, like black coffee. I can't do that.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
And then, even throughout the rest of the year there are some Wednesdays and Fridays where this doesn't apply, but basically every Wednesday and Friday, they also fast from meat, eggs, and dairy.
Wow.
Wednesdays to honor the betrayal of Jesus, and then Friday to honor the crucifixion.
Yeah.
So there's it's just a lot of fasting on the Orthodox calendar. It's different. So it's definitely one of the harder things to adapt to when you're coming from a practice that doesn't fast at all.
Yeah. No, it can be. Yeah. Here's a question, because we posted 2 somewhat popular reels onto the Instagram. Guys, go follow the Instagram, IDG the podcast. One was about being a dad. I don't know if you saw that one. That was an eye-opening experience, because now my daughter's saying dad a lot more. Hi, daddy. I love it.
That's so cute.
I can't get over it. And last night, I wonder if I don't ever get too personal on the show. Carly hasn't said anything about that, but last night we did for the first time, because we co-sleep. We've been co-sleeping, and I haven't told you this, but last night I got up from putting her down, because I usually lay in bed with her for a little bit, and then she falls asleep. I get up and leave. And I got up to leave, and as soon as I opened the door, she popped right back up. And I said to Carl, I'm not doing this. I can't do this. I don't know what to do. So she didn't come out. Sometimes she comes outside and like peeks her head out. Like she'll go like this. But last night I closed the door, and I didn't want to lock it and walk away. So I held it closed. And she was bawling, like yelling, "Daddy, Daddy, Mommy." And I couldn't do it. I know every parent has probably gone through this where Carly was like, I can't listen to this. And I was like, I think we have to do this. I think she has to go back and fall asleep on her own. And so she's going nuts. I'm seeing her hand underneath the door jamb. Like I'm dying. And then I hear this voice in the room say my daughter's name, go to bed. And it's my wife on the intercom. And then she says, okay, get Gregory. Gregory's a little pet turtle. It's so cute. Get Gregory and go into bed and you'll be okay. Just go. And I heard her go, because I'm still standing by the door. I heard her go, okay. And then she went to sleep finally. And I was like, I don't know if I can do that again. So tonight, I don't know if we're going to have to do that again. But yeah, like I was saying in that video and just thinking about it earlier while we were waiting to start, I was like, if you guys want an emotional roller coaster, and I think to feel every single emotion that you've ever felt or ever wanted to feel, have a kid, for sure. Because I've found that, there are emotions that I haven't felt, like extreme regret, extreme remorse, extreme happiness, all in the matter of like 5 minutes. It's insane. It's euphoric kind of. It's like taking a drug and having all these different emotions happen to you all at the same time within seconds of each other, being so angry, that being so, what do they call it? Guilty, and then being so happy. Because I just yelled at this person. I just yelled at this little cute person. She cried. Now I'm crying because I feel bad, but I'm looking over at her bouncing up and down on the couch. It sends you through a whirlwind. I'm sure you deal with that all the time.
It's unpredictable.
It really is.
That's what it is. Totally unpredictable as a parent. You never know what you're going to get.
I understand the more my daughter grows, I understand now the compassion that God has for us. If that makes any sense. I'm like, wow, this is unprecedented. Like, because I think love proves of God's existence, if that makes any sort of sense. I don't have to love my daughter. You don't have to love your daughter. Why do we though? Is it genetic? Just because this person has some of the same DNA, am I predisposed to loving this person? No. Parents leave their kids all the time. But why? Why is that?
I know. We had a couple of friends over for dinner the other day, and he asked us, he's not married or doesn't have kids yet. He said, what has being a parent taught you about God? What has being a parent taught you about your relationship with God? And I said, I remember the first couple of months I would hold my daughter and I would look at her and be like, God loves me so much that he sent his only son to live the most perfect, blameless, sinless life and to die the most brutal death on the cross to atone for the sins of all mankind. That's how much he loves you. That's how much he loves me. I'm looking at my daughter and I'm like, I would never do that.
That's what I'm saying.
I would never. Yes. There's no way. There's no way I wouldn't even let someone push her over.
Right.
If it meant to save someone else's soul.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
No way. I'm not going to, let alone let her die the most brutal death, let alone her living the most sinless life, blameless, pure life.
Yeah.
And that's how much God loves you. That's how much God loves you. That's how much God loves us. And I remember in the early days of holding her and being like, oh my gosh, this is why, so I am definitely in the minority when I say this. You see a lot of these libs who are not having kids and they brag, like Seth Rogen, for example, Chelsea Handler, like, I love not having a kid. I get to do whatever I want with my day. Yeah. As a childless woman, this is what I get to do. And then you see all these people on TikTok or Instagram and they're bragging about their childless life. All the conservatives are like, that's awesome. Let them breed themselves out. Right. They shouldn't be having kids anyway. They shouldn't be procreating. I'm like, I disagree.
I disagree too.
I disagree 100%. First of all, I think we're called to be fruitful and multiply. And number two, I think it's really fucking stupid that you assume just because someone has a parent who is an idiot liberal, just because someone who has a parent who maybe either thinks the wrong way or does the wrong things, that they are automatically going to turn out to be terrible.
Right.
I think that doesn't give children a chance. Like, that same exact logic is the logic they use for abortion. Oh, this parent is a drug addict, or this parent is ill-equipped. This parent is poor. We should just kill their child because they're going to have a horrible life. Yeah. So I see all these conservatives and they're like, yeah, let them just not breed. I'm like, no, I think being a parent makes you a better person.
Yeah. That's that Jordan Peterson clip. Remember that he was talking about? I've been seeing it making the rounds. It's just the audio though, but it's saying a lot of people think that kids are holding you back. And he goes, holding you back from what? What, from drinking, 6 24-ounce beers every day?
Yeah.
Like, what is it holding you back from? Like,
Right.
It's just, having kids, this doesn't apply to everybody, obviously, but I think that the only way to grow as a person is to probably have, as an adult, is to have kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, it's so hard to put into words how kids, I mean, you did it very eloquently, but it's very hard because, like you said, I couldn't, Jesus's shoulder bone was exposed from the cross, like from him carrying it. His shoulder bone was exposed. His nose was broken. He was bleeding profusely out of, like, he had chunks. I read something that the scars on Christ's back would have taken 2,000 to 3,000 stitches to close, something like that. And I think a lot of people just live life aimlessly, don't even consider that. And I mean, not that having a kid will ultimately make you contemplate the pain that Christ went through, in order to die for your sins. But I would never tell someone, oh, good, don't have kids. Yeah.
I think it's terrible.
Go through the most beautiful experience that life can offer.
Yeah, I think it's awful. I mean, Chelsea Handler sucks. Seth Rogen sucks.
Right.
But I think they should have kids.
I think they would probably be better, happier
I
people.
think they would be much less selfish.
Yeah.
I think it would tether them to the world in a much different way, make them care about the world more.
Mm-hmm.
That's why this is a couple of years ago now, AOC was, I forgot what she said exactly, but she mentioned like having kids. And a lot of people were like, I hope she doesn't have kids. And Ali Sucky was like, I hope she does.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, I agree with that. I hope she does. Like it will make you a better person. When I say that, people are like, what about all the parents that turn out to be abusive? Yeah, okay. There are some parents who do a terrible job at it,
Right.
but that doesn't necessarily mean that their children don't deserve the right to live.
Well, like Chris Martin from Coldplay said, if you never try, you'll never know. Fix You.
Yeah. I was trying to think of what
good
comes
song.
after that. It's still one of my favorite songs.
Just what you're worth.
That was the last good album of theirs.
X and Y, yeah.
I mean, Parachutes is still my favorite
It's
album
their
of
first
theirs.
one. It's their best
It's their best one.
It's unequivocally and objectively their best album.
That's one of the only albums that I actually listen to in terms of like modern music. Shiver is probably my favorite song ever.
I like Sparks
maybe
on that album.
Sparks is a good one.
Such a good one. First time I heard it on Wedding Crashers. Wedding Crashers. Yeah. The other reel, I don't know if you wanted to talk about it. The other reel caused some controversy, especially on YouTube, because I did a poll and people were very confused. And I was like, wait, what are you guys confused about? It was the Joe Biden saying trans people are made in the image of God. It was on Day of Visibility.
Oh yeah, I saw
something,
people. Yeah,
something like that. So just to be clear, and people are saying my dogma is incorrect. People were like, well, your view is totally opposite of what the Orthodox faith says. And I was like, well, I'm not Orthodox. But what Joe Biden was saying, he's saying that trans people are made in the image of God. And what I'm saying is those people were made in the image of God. And that if you play the game, if you use the language, and if you placate that a trans person is who he says he is, I'm saying that person at that point is not made in the image of God. And I think that was causing a lot of people confusion, because people are saying, well, if they're sinning, that doesn't mean that they're not made in the image of God. I also think you don't know what you're talking about when you're saying image of God. I think you're thinking of that literally and not fundamentally what being made in the image of God means. What do you think about it?
okay, if I remember correctly, what people were griping about is that, so they still believe that a trans person, a person who calls themselves trans, like
Right.
they are made in the image of God.
Right.
It's just that
I agree with that, because I think trans is made up. Like I don't think it exists clearly. There are trans people walking around who say that they're trans. I don't buy into that though. So
Right.
I feel that those people were made in the image of God, but the trans person is his own God, therefore not made in the image of God. Does that make any sense, or am I playing like a syntax and sort of word game?
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, everyone is made in the image of God. It's
Yeah.
just that so-called trans people are desecrating the image of God.
Right.
But it doesn't mean they're not made in the image of God.
Right. I think it's like the person that is in the trans person. Let's just say if you're trying to visualize this, let's just say a peanut shell. The shell, right, is the person, right? The original peanut shell is the person.
Mm-hmm.
Probably explaining this horrible. Within that shell, the actual peanut is the new trans person, right? I refuse to see that. I see the peanut shell. I see the original thing where the the peanut lays inside.
Right.
Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
It's very difficult to. This is what this does. This is what it does. It makes us very confused. Reality's distorted. Up is down. Down is up. Dogs are cats. I don't know how to talk about this stuff anymore.
Cats or dogs.
Yeah. Let's get into some questions. I still hold by that though. I get it. Everyone on earth, murderers, rapists, baby killers, they're all made in the image of God. We all sin though. That's the crux of it. And is decimating your own biology in defiance of God. What is that doing? It's desecrating that image. Are you no longer that image? That's where I guess the debate is. I tend to sit on the fence of that. I don't know. Yes, maybe no. I don't know. Let's answer some questions. Here's from Danielle Rubio. Gina, how are you dealing with being a mom while still working so much on other stuff?
I mean, it's been fine. You know, I just, whenever she naps or sleeps, I get to do work. Whenever, you know, she hangs out with grandma a little bit after my mom gets off work, you know, but I think this is, I did some content on this for my group. There's this really big misconception of what it means to like this idea of like stay-at-home mom. The nuclear family and the whole like stay-at-home mom that has no other work to do but raising children is a really modern concept. Like women were always workhorses. Yeah. Moms used to like get up and work the fields really early hours in the morning. They used to contribute a lot to the family economy. They used to create products to sell for profit. They used to trade and barter, and it's like women and wives were always contributing a lot to the family economy. So it always trips me up. I'm like, it's weird how people think it's weird that a lot of moms will do other things like besides just like cooking and cleaning and taking care of their kids. Yeah. And I think that it's kind of strange, but I think what we've seen now, I see a lot on Twitter, like these moms are like, oh my gosh, I love being a stay-at-home mom because it's so much easier than going to work 9 to 5. And I'm like, it is, because the modern idea of trad is rooted in the 1950s version of trad, which is not actually traditional. Right. It is way easier. Yeah. And then you see a lot of the guys on TikTok who are like, this video went viral. This guy was like, being a stay-at-home mom is the easiest job in the world, man. You guys get to take naps. You guys get to just like do whatever you want at home all day. And then a lot of the moms were really mad that he said that. But then at the same time, you see a lot of moms on Twitter who literally say, being a stay-at-home mom is so much easier because I get to nap every time my daughter naps. Yeah. And I'm like, you're kind of proving his point. Right. Like in a way, like the modern idea of stay-at-home mom is like, it's a very novel concept, because until 100 years ago when the nuclear family was invented, which was like probably the 1920s ish, 1930s is when it was really established. There was like no such thing as a woman who would just cook and clean and like be with the kids. Right. And unless you were, of course, like of a very wealthy status, but even then you wouldn't raise your own children. Yeah. You would like,
I imagine you don't nap when she's napping. Do you?
I didn't do that. When I brought my daughter home from the hospital, everyone was like, just remember when she naps, you nap. I'm like,
I don't think my wife ever did that.
When do you do stuff?
Doesn't even do that now.
Like how do you?
She's either preparing dinner or baking or making her snacks, or because she makes everything herself. So she's constantly. And it's almost better. It's like, it's easier than a 9 to 5 job because you're doing this for people who actually love you back.
Oh, well, in terms of like fulfillment, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I think of, I watched Terror on the Prairie recently, you know, the Gina Carano Daily Wire Bonfire Legend movie.
Oh, yeah.
And the first couple minutes of that movie is Gina Carano, because it's in, you know, the late 1890s, early 1900s, you know, on the plains somewhere or in a prairie. But she's got baby in tow. Yeah. The husband and son, the young son, had just come in after doing a lot of work. They're about to have breakfast, so she's literally making bread. Just made like hot cakes, pouring them coffee, getting something ready for them to go while they're working. They eat a quick meal. They go back out to work. It's not like her day is done. Like she has to wash all the clothes.
Yeah, she's a workhorse.
It's like it's like I think that image of trad needs to get sort of brought back up over this 1950s vacuuming and pearls thing. Yeah. But like speaking of like a lot of the manosphere and the trad type of world, a lot of these people who are at the forefront of a lot of these shows and who are the loudest, I've noticed they're not married.
None of them are.
I was like, what is this?
Regis and I talked about it last week. It's trad porn.
Yes.
We've traded in true tradition for trad porn. Like none of it. And it's so ironic. All these guys are talking about a trad wife and stuff. And I forgot which YouTube this is, but Anderson sent me this video and this guy was talking about how, like, very similar to what I was saying, what we consider to be a traditional wife today is nothing like what a traditional wife was 100, 200, 300 plus years ago. It's totally different because the traditional wife could not exist without the context of the traditional family. And you will never, ever see a wife who is isolated from her family, who didn't have servants or apprentices or some kind of help to take care of her 8 children, to educate them with the help of other moms in the village, with the help of her sisters or her mom or cousins or friends. And he also said, all these guys who want to talk about tradition, like, then you have to be a traditional man. And the traditional man would never, ever insult women and the way that they look in public. They would never disparage a woman's body. They would never, even if a woman was a whore, they would not they wouldn't speak ill of somebody in public and berate them. There was, the traditional man was extremely polite and he had a lot of decorum, and even that's lost. So this guy was like, you want a traditional wife, but you don't even be like a traditional man. Like the way that you talk about women in public, you talk about them like they're animals. And that's been a very common thing with the manosphere thing too, you know? And
they can get things right. They can make very valid points.
Yeah, sure.
Like Andrew Tate makes a lot of very valid points, but when you look at the guy, as far as what kind of man he is, someone who's unmarried, and someone to be accused of what he's been accused of, however you want to take that, if it's true or if it's not, but just that lifestyle, it's not very traditional.
Yeah, he's not. But I mean,
you could talk about masculinity.
Is he manosphere though?
I don't know. I think no, like Pearl and like whatever would be like manosphere kind of things, right? And like Fresh and Fit, because we're talking about manosphere and Red Pill, right? It's kind of like in the same vein.
Is Pearl? I feel like Pearl's normal. She does talk a lot, rightfully so she does talk a lot about how legally men get screwed over by marriage a lot of the times, which is true. But did you see Ajax this is probably like the last 4 days he's gone on a tirade against Manosphere.
Really?
Have you seen it? I mean, it's just beautiful to watch. He just completely wrecks them.
Okay.
Because Zuby was asking the question, he's like, what's the point of men getting married today? And Ajax was like, all of you modernist pussies. He was like, oh, you want to sit and talk about statistics? Like, oh, why should I get married today? He was like, love is a force that changes your life for good. And it is something that is indescribable. And he was like, all of you pansies out there are so scared of getting hurt that you won't actually dive into a marriage and like choose the right girl. Oh, you're afraid that she's going to leave you and take your kids. He's like, well, then choose someone better.
Right, exactly.
And like the whole point of love is that you're brave and courageous enough to dive into it. And the way that he talks about it is like, that is actually very traditional. Like the idea of love, men used to write love poems and letters. They used to love.
I dropped my handkerchief on the ground. I hope she notices.
And like, little things like that. And now you have guys who are like, no, she might leave you, bro. And she might take your kids, dude. It's like, well,
it's part of life.
Marry the right person.
Yeah, it's part of life. It's
also,
part of dating.
If they want to talk about statistics, you know what people never talk about?
Go ahead.
Statistics of divorce per demographic. Our demographic, divorce is very, very low. Someone who graduated from college, someone who has a good credit score, like divorce rates are very low for us.
Really? Oh,
yeah. And so all these guys in the manosphere are like 80% of marriages are initiated by women and half of marriages end in divorce. Right. Okay. Well, what demographic? Who are you talking about?
Are you talking about boomers?
Like, you know, like, are you talking about your own demographic? Because usually the demographic that they're in, the divorce rates are very, very different. So even when they talk about the stats, it's like they're not applied correctly.
The demographic between arranged marriages, as far the demographic of arranged marriages and their divorce rate. 1-800-JAR-BEAR. Do you guys know and trust your neighbors? And do you think America can have a trusting society again?
Yeah, we really like our neighbors there.
Yeah. We know our neighbors. We know one of our neighbors, and actually the guy that owns our house lives 5 houses down, and he's awesome. So that's, it's not everybody. In a nice area. You live in a nice area.
Our neighbor next door, his dog was pooping in our yard sometimes. My husband threw it back into their yard.
We've only met the neighbor to our left, I guess, once. And it was just like a little hi, but they work from home. They have a sign that says, "This is a busy home office. Like, no."
They have a sign?
Yeah. They drive a Subaru, so I mean, yeah, I don't really want to know them if
What
anything.
is it
but we're
about
cordial.
Subaru drivers? Why?
I don't know.
What's the science behind that?
I don't know if it's a science, but it certainly is a stereotype. That's for sure. Do I think that we'll ever get there again? I don't know.
There's too much diversity.
Too much diversity. We don't have common interests. We don't have common goals. You know, you have the person across from you is one of these people that has like those unity bumper stickers, or what is it, like karma, but it's with all the religion, different symbols.
Coexist.
It has that. It's like, well, why would I coexist with you?
What's that scene of Forgetting Sarah Marshall?
That is Buddhism. That is Hinduism. That is Christianity. That I don't even know what that is. But yeah.
Oh, I'm old as snow. Bullshit. Oh, no drinks for me. Bullshit.
Those are his real tattoos, by the way.
Yeah, I've
That's
seen
what's
them.
so funny about it. What do you think? Trusting society? No. Right? No.
I mean, I don't know about society, but you can definitely find communities in which there's plenty of trust.
Yeah. Go back and watch the Matt Fradd episode, because he actually talks about Steubenville, Ohio, and he moved there because he wanted to, quote, do community with other people. Oompa Loompa 123 maybe a bit boring, but thoughts on weed?
Thoughts? I hate this question. Thoughts on weed.
Here's my quick thoughts while Gina's thinking about her thoughts. Weed, I've never liked the smell. I thought the smell of it was atrocious, and people who said that they like the smell of it, it's a cope, it's a weird cope. I've never felt great smoking marijuana, if that makes any sense. It's never been fun for me. I've never had fun. I've never relaxed, or if anything, it made me feel more neurotic. I don't like it. I don't think it's what Josh Lacash calls the fag plant.
Yeah, I think it's a bad thing to normalize it and to legalize it. I know that there are medicinal properties to it, but those medicinal properties are not applicable to nearly as many people as we think there are.
Right.
Like, and the way that it's meant to be used medicinally, it's not properly used.
That's also a cope when people are like, but medicinal. It's like, well, okay, well, what specifically are you talking about?
You're like, what do you mean? You're nauseous from a hangover? Like what?
Maybe don't drink.
What is it? I mean, like there are people who are very, very ill that use THC and CBD and like to give them an appetite and things like that, and to like help them relax.
Things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. But that is, I think it's such a small population. I think it is bad for our culture to normalize it. I was doing something. I was baking the other day. Oh yeah. I was baking the other day when my daughter was out at the park with my parents, and I turned on The Office on NBC. I was like, I just feel like watching something while I'm getting stuff together in the kitchen. And we have like the lowest tier of membership, so you have ads.
Right. Yeah.
And so there was like the NBC Peacock ad of 420.
Oh. Showing
like all of these movies and TV shows that are all about getting high.
Oh, really?
Like Half Baked.
Yeah.
There's another one.
The Seth Rogen one, Pineapple Express. And
Pineapple Express, definitely.
Friday, I'm sure.
Another one I forgot. But yeah, so they were showing like this montage, like previews that they were going to basically do a 420 marathon. And I'm like, I don't like this.
Yeah, I don't like it.
And this is someone like in California, like, yeah, I used to smoke weed. Like everyone smoked weed in California. It was very, very normal. But even seeing what it has turned into there, like I don't like seeing it normalized like that. And I did not like seeing that commercial. I was like, oh, okay. So we're just pretending like, I mean, this is like NBC.
Yeah. Who would have thought?
NBC. Like you would have never seen that when we were kids. That would have been like the most taboo thing. And they're working really, really hard to normalize it. And I don't think it's good for our culture.
It's not good for your brain. It's not good. Like, listen, there are plenty of ways that you can probably get brain chemistry wise into a very similar headspace without using, let's say, THC. Like I know meditation can kind of get you there, deep meditation. That's why I know Ram Dass and George Harrison like stopped doing drugs, because they found that meditation had very similar effects. But yeah, like it enhances my creativity. Like, no, it's such a cope. No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
That creativity is inside you. You don't need a chemical to alter your brain in order to enhance it.
It's also really bad for your sleep, guys.
Yeah,
people think it's good for your sleep, but I like CBD. I think CBD is very useful.
Ohas wants to know, what is our favorite song at the moment? I'll answer first while you think. There's a song by Beach House called Take Care, and it's on my daughter's playlist when she's doing her bedtime routine. I listen to it every day, but at the moment it's just been kind of popping in more, and I listen to it when I'm not with her and stuff like that. So
I have a tie between these two. There's this really beautiful choral piece by Eric Whitaker called When David Heard. It's a 10-minute piece.
Wow.
It's really good. It's very moving. And then Almost by Hosier.
Hosier. Take him to church. That's the same guy, right?
That's the same guy.
Nice. Okay. This question is interesting, though. I'm trying to think of how to answer this. How did you handle losing your worldly friends when you grew your relationship with God? I haven't really lost anyone.
I mean, I didn't like lose friends in the sense that like
they won't come to church with me. Like that's kind of a bummer.
I don't know. I don't really feel a loss.
Yeah. No, same.
I don't really feel a loss.
Oh, here's from Caribe. How can I call out people's sins without being a hypocrite if everyone is a sinner?
If I'm going to need more context on that one.
Right. Well, I mean, just to answer it, I mean, if you guys are partaking in the same sin and you're calling that sin out, that's hypocrisy. But also if you're like, let's say you have a heavy gambling problem and then you're calling out someone's, let's say, alcoholism, is it kind of hypocrisy if you haven't addressed your own, let's say, either addiction or your own sin? Probably. So yeah, context would help with this question, I think.
Context definitely helps.
Context usually helps.
And I think first and foremost, we should probably worry about our own sins.
Yeah. Happy Easter. This is from Saint Wave, M&G. Any favorite non-English insults you use?
Oh, not insults, but I'll say Maron. I'll say that.
Maron, I watched The Irishman the other day. I rewatched it, and it's a good movie. I take back everything bad I said about it.
Is it good?
Yeah, 3.5 hours long, but
it's worth it?
If you can get past Robert De Niro with a CG face, but with like a 75-year-old body and like fake kicking someone, yeah, it's a good movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
I always wondered if it was worth investing in, because it's an investment in time.
It is a really one. Oh, I also watched this movie called The Two Popes earlier today. You should watch that. That's good. It's about Pope Francis and Pope Benedict. Based on
that's not the one I'm thinking of. Yeah,
no,
okay.
There's the Jude Law one.
Yeah.
Non-English. Well, it's not necessarily an insult. There's this word that Salvadorians use, cerote. Cerote means kind of like poop. Kind of. It's talked about poop, but cerote is kind of like dumbass or bitch ass or something like that. So it's not. It's just kind of like a curse word.
Nice. Guatemalans
and Honduras people.
Honduras.
I never know how to say Hondureños. How can we? This is from I didn't write this question. Mark T. Hell. How can we help you guys make more money? Well, you can buy this stuff. You can go to Digital Homestead, and that's one of our sponsors. I didn't mean that for them. Heaven's Harvest. Well, Heaven's Harvest right. Too, but we have so we have NeuroGum, Heaven's Harvest, Digital Homestead. We have Aura, which has been great for us.
Yeah.
We have merch. You guys can buy merch.
Oh yeah, the merch.
We have the merch.
The merch.
People actually 2 hoodies were sold today.
Oh yeah.
Nice, yeah.
Good job.
Good job, you guys.
Good job.
So that's how you can make us more money. Also, watch our videos on YouTube. Just go to our YouTube and just click the watch. Watch it for 10 minutes. We need to get the views up in order to keep being populated on people's feeds. We'll do 2 more questions. Oh, here's a good one for you. John Gregg, IG. What's worse, incel or simp?
Simp.
Yeah, I think simp's worse.
I think simp's worse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I think simp's worse as well.
Right?
Well, I coined the term with Fick, neo-incel. You remember that?
Yeah.
So a neo-incel is someone who just isn't ready or doesn't want to be ready just yet, isn't prepared to date, isn't prepared to engage in relationships with women just yet. So I think that's good because that's at least self-aware.
Yeah.
But you should still do so. Yeah, I think simping is awful. Don't be a simp if you could do anything. Okay. Let's do 2.5 more. No, 1.5 more. What are your opinions on, do you know who Vivek Ramaswamy is? Noah Bax asked us.
I know that name. I don't know
Running
enough.
for president.
Okay.
I think he was like a CEO of some tech company. My dad actually sent me Vivek Ramaswamy because he saw an interview that Jordan Peterson did with him.
Has he been going viral about? Yeah.
Stuff.
Yeah. I don't know anything about him.
He's probably like a culture warrior on the right. He's Hindu, which is a point against him. And my dad was like, "Well, then make lists of Catholics." And I was like, "Okay."
Is he conservative?
Yes. Yeah.
Or is he like a classical liberal type of conservative?
No, I think from the interview that I watched, I only watched about half an hour of it. It's like an hour and 40 minutes.
He's running for president?
Yeah. I don't know why anyone would run for president.
Yeah, what's the point at this point?
Promotion? I don't know. Doesn't make any sense.
I was going to say it's like Conor Roy from Succession, but
yeah, I didn't watch it last night. I will not watch it last night. I know you did. Rose Merck, last question. Why is the right so obsessed with Trump? They go harder for him than culture every time.
I mean, I think for one, they just have no one else to really unite behind at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like living in the glory days of Trump.
Yeah.
And I get that. Yeah, he did some good stuff, but like there was this girl, that video that I sent you of the girl who was saying that I would take a bullet for Trump. He would do that for me. I'm like, he did not take a bullet for the January 6th people.
No.
Like, you think he's going to take a bullet for you?
Yeah.
Like, he's not even going to help you up if you fall on the ground. Like, what are you talking about?
Right.
And she was like, what he's doing is Christ-like. And I'm like, okay, so you are, thank you. And I put it on my page and this girl was like, what he is doing is Christ-like. And I'm like, are you all right?
Are you familiar with this story?
Are you all right? Like, she's Catholic. I'm like, are you okay?
Wait, a Catholic said that?
And I'm like, you realize how she was like, and she compared him to Christian martyrs.
Really?
And I said, that's incredibly insulting.
To Christian martyrs.
Yeah. Like they were burned at the stake. They were tortured alive for declaring their love and their belief in Jesus Christ. And you're going to actually compare them to Trump? And she was like, if you're offended, that's your problem. I'm like, this is why women shouldn't vote.
Yeah.
Like, you actually think that what Trump is doing is the same thing as Christian martyrs. Mm-hmm. She was like, he's being persecuted. Like, okay, I'm not saying he's not being persecuted, but liking what Trump did and believing that he's being persecuted for whatever it is that he did in the past is not at all the same as a Christian martyr.
No.
Like, people are not okay.
People are not okay. People also tend to relate politicians to martyrs or to holy people. And it doesn't make any sense.
Weird.
It is very weird. I don't like it. Guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Gina, it's lovely having you here, as always. Until next time. I kind of wanted to, I just wanted to play the song.
I feel like maybe I should get a pair of sunglasses now.
I think you should. It's a look.
Where'd you get them?
Got it on Amazon for $14.
Oh, I'll get a pair.
Yeah. You want to try them on real quick?
We should make them into some merch.
Oh, sunglasses?
Oh,
I think too many moving parts. How do you think these look?
I have a large head, so they're a little bit big.
Oh, I have a long face, so those glasses.
I have a long face too, though.
No, you don't.
I do. I have a 5 head.
I think my face is. Oh, your head or your face?
No, both.
Like a long head.
I have a long head and a 5 head.
5? No, I don't think you have a 5.
I definitely have a 5 head.
Yeah. What's her name? The model. The black one.
Which one?
The model who has that show.
Tyra Banks?
Yeah, she has a gigantic forehead.
We were all rooting for you.
She didn't say you broke my heart, right? What did she say?
How dare you?
We were all
rooting for you. I've never yelled at a girl like this in my life.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye-bye.